Hey guys, Jason here. And recently we've heard a lot of news about China. And we've seen the Bitcoin prices as well as all the altcoin prices here drop. And in my videos prior, I've talked about how the altcoin market is very closely tied to Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin goes down, it does cause all the altcoins to go down, as well. But a lot of people are wondering, what's going on with China? I've had a lot of emails in the last 24 hours. People are freaking out, asking me, is China, the whole Bitcoin in China done with? And I kind of want to explain this in layman's terms. I wanted to do some more research on my own because, I didn't want to give you guys false information, of course. So I started looking into it. And what I found was, first of all, the stuff that's out are rumors. There's no definite document that guarantees what I'm about to say is true. And so, you saw on Reddit last night, it was the top a couple posts were about the whole China thing. You saw the Bitcoin price dropped down to about 700-ish. And you saw all the altcoins drop dramatically down. I think there was only one altcoin out of all 51 of them that was actually up positive. I mean, it was a terrible time. And here's what I think happened. First of all, I think we assume that there's not too much communication between the people that speak Chinese and the people that speak English. You have a very few amounts of people that do that and do translate for the general populace. So what a lot of people do is they take these articles, they take these news, and they use Google Translate, which, as we all know, for Chinese to English, isn't the most accurate. So what essentially came out of this rumor mill, I guess you would say, was that China will make it basically illegal to use third-party services to buy Bitcoins. And of course, everybody thinks this is a huge, big deal. And one of the things I have problematic with is that the people who learn about this stuff and are reading Reddit, they don't read the article. They only read the comment section. And they're hoping the comment section, brings intel to a very summarized knowledge. But sometimes reading the article gives you more intel and gives you a more sturdy knowledge base. So you might ask, well, why is it bad that, third parties can't let you buy Bitcoin? Well, let me give you an example. I bought my first Bitcoins using Dawa. I'm sure I hope I'm saying it right. It's Darwa or Dawa. I'm pretty sure it's like Dawa. And it was a payment service that allowed you to, what you do is it would connect your bank account and you would take money. And if you guys want to check, the very first videos on my channel talk about this because this is back when it was really important. And this is how everybody did it, is you took money from your bank account to Dawa, and then from Dawa you'd send a transaction account amount to Mt. Gox, and on Mt. Gox you would trade for Bitcoins, and then you take those Bitcoins and send them to your client or to an online wallet, which again, I don't encourage online wallets. So Dawa was basically a third-party service because it was an intermediary between your bank account and the exchange. And China is worried about this, and I can kind of rightfully see so. In the United States, Dawa got out of the business. A lot of the third-party services have gotten out of the business because it's so risky. One of the things is if Bitcoin is going to become a commodity or a currency, there's regulatory issues that will be brought up. And being a third-party, processor, you're not in a good spot, to say the least. So people say, well, then you can't use, some of these major exchanges in the United States. Well, we have exchanges in China, so I'm not too worried. And I was reading an article where the guy who runs one of the largest exchanges in China was talking at a conference in Las Vegas about a week ago. And he said, yeah, we kind of assumed they would shut down on third-party services. And there's a reason behind this. Like Dawa got shut down because it was, the middleman between your bank account and your exchange. So essentially what's going to happen, and you do this now with Coinbase, is the People's Bank of China, which is the largest bank, and it's most likely where most average Chinese people have their, money stored, is you'll go in, and this is another controversial, I'll interrupt right here, is people are so concerned you have to show ID to be able to, deposit money in the Bank of China account. What's the big deal with showing an ID? I know so many people are like, oh, Bitcoin's for anonymous purposes. Well, if you want to become equal to those commodities and currencies out in the global market, you're going to have regulatory issues. And people get so fewed up with that, and you have to just kind of bypass that. I had to submit proof of residence and proof of identity to Coinbase and Mt. Gox. Now, Coinbase is a little bit easier, you just link your bank account, but Mt. Gox, you had to prove your identity. And so, I'm not too concerned about this. I know it's harder for people out sometimes in the third world countries, but when you're in China, you got the People's Bank in China, you got Bitcoin exchanges. So let's get into what will be proceeded in this new age where you can't use third-party services. Well, essentially what you'll do is you'll take your money from the People's Bank of China, and I think it's the People's Republic Bank of China or something like that, but it's essentially the People's Bank of China, and you'll literally just send a deposit to the Bitcoin exchange. And why people are so worried about this, I think they're worried that the fact that the Chinese government will know how much money you're sending, but they monitor their internet so well anyway, they were knowing how much money people were sending out and in. China has a pretty good, what's the right word, collection informational database. I guess they just really are really good at information, kind of like the United States with NSA. They know a lot about the Chinese people. So it would be kind of stupid to say that they didn't know where these transactions were going. They couldn't track them, of course, after they got into Bitcoin very easily, but they probably could track the monetary deposits. So I don't really see this as an issue. People are causing this such a big feud. And here's another thing I think really is playing the market. I've talked before in my videos that you'll notice between Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the end of the year, trade, even in the real world, the business world, the stock exchange world, the bond world, you don't have as large as trade volume because most people, if they're doing anything, they're withdrawing some funds to buy Christmas gifts, to do Christmas parties or whatever, Thanksgiving parties, and they usually aren't investing a lot of money during this period. It's more of a gifting period. So people already know that there's not so much transaction going through Bitcoin currently, and they're taking advantage of that and taking advantage of the lack of ability for the average American and other worldwide users to interpret what's going on in China. And they're using that to play the market. I mean, heck, guys, it was at $900 and now it's down to $700. Somebody out there has got a $200 advantage just because of this whole news confusion. Final statement, I don't really think there's that big a deal to worry about China. I think China will, eventually allow Bitcoin. They've already said that it's a commodity, and I don't think that's a big issue. Commodity is an okay stance for right now, and it will be very good if, it's very simple. For me, I used to think it was really simple going through a bank account to Dawa, from Dawa to Mt. Gox, to Mt. Gox to my, my client. But now using Coinbase is so much nicer. The money's deposited right into my Coinbase account at the current market rate too, which I really like. And then boom, guess what? It's right in, I got those Bitcoins, I can send them right to my client. It, takes out that middleman, makes the regulatory issues a lot easier, makes it safer because you don't have to go through a whole bunch of different people, trust your money with a whole bunch of different organizations. And it just makes things simpler for the average user. And the beginning user doesn't really know too much about cryptocurrencies, but is trying to get into the market. So at the very final, last remarks, I think this is a good move. People are so negative about this, but I think it's a good move. I think it will bring in a new age with more regulatory issues in China. It will kind of get Bitcoin up in the press. Yeah, third-party services aren't going to be able to be used, but China is a very big country. They can support the exchanges. They can support the bank transfers. That's not an issue. I think the biggest issue is people are worried about the photo ID and the tracking of where the money is going. But like we said, that's probably already being done. So overall, I don't see what the big feud is. I really don't think it's a big deal. I'm not trying to promote, oh yeah, Bitcoin's, perfect and everything. It's not. But I feel like people are trying to take advantage of, first of all, the low trade volumes right now, and B, the fact that they can, basically knowing that most people like myself can't read Chinese and we rely on other people to either translate or use Google Translate, and they use that miscommunication for the first week or so to affect the market. And I think that's wrong, but that's what's going on right now. Hey guys, have a great night. I really hope I informed you. I really hope I updated you on what's going on because it's a very big issue right now and a lot of people are wanting to know what's going on. I tried to research the best I can to bring you guys the best information. Have a great night.